movie called Hocus Pocus 2. Hocus Pocus 2 is actually a sequel to the 1993 movie Hocus Pocus 1. And matter of fact, it's about three young women who accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to a modern day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. With me, I have my fiance with me. We're going to be reviewing this movie together. This is our first time, well, not first time doing a review together. We actually did, our last review was actually Rain Man. So this is actually going to be a fun review for us to be able to do. So, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
So, going out of the gate, I was excited for another Hocus Pocus movie because of the fact that it's been close to almost 30 years, if you think about it, since we actually got the very first Hocus Pocus movie. And so coming off of that, I was like, okay, is this movie going to be good? Is it how it's going to match up? Also, too, the reason why, too, that we haven't gotten a Hocus Pocus movie at all is because how it's really received at the time. And also, too, they didn't even make their budgets back. As a matter of fact, this actually was a cult classic. So it was kind of interesting on how they have to actually go on that. And then, of course, with this thing, the way it opens up to this new witch that winds up talking to the Sanderson sisters, and one of the main characters, of course, is Bette Midler's character. And one of the things I have to say is this: I like the fact that we're introduced to a new witch and a new coven, but whenever we're introduced to Winifred Sanford's and the origin stories of the sisters, it's actually great to see. But then again, they don't do anything with that character. They don't do anything with the new witch or anything like that. It just falls flat whenever, because you're thinking that this new witch might actually have some cohesiveness with the other characters. It doesn't even deliver on that at all. But as far as an origin story goes, as far as them introducing us to a new witch and a new coven, which is something that I really liked at the beginning, but I wish that they would actually deliver something more on that. So what about you?
I like the first one better, but the problem with me for this one is it was too kiddie. It was too, the first one had a little cheesiness to it, but this one was way over the top.
Yeah, the first one to me still holds up today, even though maybe some of the jokes might not land as well as they normally do. But for as the second one goes and everything, it's over the top. Also, too, the very first movie is very atmospheric. You actually can tell this is actually a Halloween type movie. You also have the premise of Max and Sam together trick or treating. With this one, you're introduced to these new characters. You're supposed to care about these new characters, and basically, it's about three girls, and then this other guy that just hangs around with them, who happens to be one of the girlfriend's boyfriends. And whenever he's introduced and stuff like that, it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't fill me with any type of excitement or anything like that. It's very lacklustering. Also, too, they're also making the sisters speak in their dialect back in the 18th century. And to me, I wish they wouldn't have done that. Like, it was a little bit peppered in the first one, but not as heavy as this one. This one, they're just over the top with it. The jokes didn't really land on this one. The Roombas was actually pretty funny, though. That was actually one of the best things about that. And also, too, the Swifter, which Sarah Jessica Parker's character is actually riding on there. But as far as the movie goes, as far as the jokes go, it just doesn't land like I wanted it to. I was wanting it. If you actually saw the trailer reaction that I did with Alex or Charlie, you can actually see I was excited for that. But it just doesn't land on that high power of it being just as good as the first one.
And to me, a lot of like the newer characters, you didn't get enough of a backstory on those characters for you to get invested in them for the story.
Definitely, I didn't really feel like there was any cohesiveness with these new characters to make us care about these characters. Don't get me wrong, when we actually see them light the candle, and then you're introduced to this other guy who winds up knowing that what he did was wrong, which was selling them the Blackwing candle, and then they light it, and then all of a sudden you see this one of the main characters get the witch powers. I'm like, okay, so she's a Wiccan, she's getting witch powers, she's practicing witchcraft. But that's not actually how how Wiccans actually operate or anything like that. And I wish that they actually did this. I wish that here's the thing. I wish that they went on ahead and did the witch, where basically she's related to the main character is actually related to the witch. So therefore, it shows the fact that, hey, look, she's related to the witch, so that's how she's getting those powers, and it doesn't even do that. It doesn't even sprinkle in at all.
I thought it was weird that the witch who first like showed herself before the Sanderson sisters, she was just in that one part, and that was it.
Well, not only that, but even when you have the bird flying in the modern day era, which is supposed to be her, the witch itself, it's supposed to be her shape shifting into that bird. And she goes in, and you see the bird in the film, and then and there's nothing else there. I thought that she would actually pop in and maybe talk to the Sanderson sisters, maybe try and turn her into the good witch or something, or something like that. But there's nothing there. And then having Billy back was actually fun. But then Billy doesn't really do much in this movie. He was just there for laughs. Don't get me wrong, Billy was there just for laughs in the first one, but he actually did more. He was there to protect Max. He was there to protect them. But this one, he's just in there doing goofball jokes and everything. It just doesn't land like I wanted to. It was just a schnick. That's all it was. It wasn't just anything that I really cared about. And not only that, but even when they try to do this meta thing where you wind up seeing the very first Hocus Pocus movie being played, where they thought that the character was actually Satan and it was actually Penny Marshall and her brother, and it doesn't. That actually falls apart. So little cameos didn't even work on that part at all. What about
Me, I also think that in the first movie, the cat had a lot more of a presence than it did in the second one.
Right, and you see the cat itself, Banks, they didn't even get the character to come back at all for this one because of the fact that he was reunited with his sister in the last one. So therefore, there's not any reason to actually have him. But it would have been nice to have some type, maybe a ghost version of him or something like that. All they had to do was like the Benjamin Button special effects where you de-age them or defake them to where they're back to where they were back in the 90s. But no, they don't even do that. Like I said, they tried too hard with this. I think they waited too long. This is one of the biggest missteps whenever you go ahead and make a movie after 30 years and trying to reciprocate the same things that you did in the very first movie, and that's where you run into problems after so long. Then, of course, you have the new generation that they're trying to incorporate into, which is something here's the thing. I'm not that demographic anymore for this film, for these movies, I don't think. Because of the fact that it's made for a modern day audience, which it's perfectly normal for them to do because they want to keep up with the times. And it's no longer going to be for the adults that grew up in the 90s who were kids and saw this in the movies theaters because that's where I saw it at.
It also could have used a lot more Halloween, a lot more spookiness,
Right.
and it just didn't have enough to me.
That's how I felt though too, because like I said, the very first one's very atmospheric where you actually feel like it's Halloween. With this one, you have one of the characters who's throwing a Halloween party, but it doesn't feel like there's any sense of danger that they're gonna get caught or anything like that. They're just having a Halloween party and that's it. Then you have the father that comes in that's supposed to be related to the other character in the very beginning of the film, and that falls apart. This movie is very messy when it comes down to things. The dialogue's over the top, the cheesiness, the comedy, everything about it. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, the 90s movies had some difficulties when it came down to cheesiness of it. But as far as the delivery, they delivered on all aspects with the first one. And then it became a cult classic. With this one, it's definitely does not deliver for me.
Me either. I mean, and I'm a person that I didn't see it when I was younger. I saw it as a grown up for the first one, and I liked the first one better than the second one.
Most definitely. And the one last thing I want to mention before we actually close out was the fact that when you watch Hocus Pocus 1, you're sitting in there in an environment where, oh, I cannot wait. This is a Halloween movie. This actually sets up for Halloween, and I can sit on the couch and watch this. But this one, it doesn't even feel like a Halloween movie. It doesn't feel like anything at all. It's just there just to be this for the sake of being there, for the sake of saying, hey, look, we made a second Hocus Pocus movie. Also, too, I wish they would have actually done more with another coven besides the Sanderson sisters. I believe if you wind up having a beef with one of the other covens and then one of the witches is still living, or you wind up having that bloodline being over into the modern day era, I think that would actually transition better than having them just try and suck the kids' souls again. Which I'm glad that they moved away from that plot line and they went into a different direction. But they could have actually done better with the execution.
Yeah, to me, it was more like I was watching a fall festival
That
than a Hocus Pocus movie.
that's true. Like a fall festival featuring Halloween, for
Mm-hmm.
example. Right. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I had wanted to cover for as far as Hocus Pocus 2 goes. Brandy and I both didn't really care for this movie, but tell us in the comments below. Does this movie deliver for you? Does this make you go back and say, you know what? I love the very first Hocus Pocus movie, and I love this one just as much as the first one? Or did you think that this one's just one of those stink bombs that you really wish that you didn't even watch? So tell me below what you guys think about that. Always until next time, guys. It's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.